Okay, then I think we're live. Erin, take it away.
Great, thank you. I'll call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Thank you for the members and the staff for being here. We do have a full agenda, but hope to move through it efficiently here. So let's go ahead and start with the roll call, please, Shonda.
Sure. Eric Berg.
Present.
Sharon Diggs-Jackson.
Present.
Ava Cross.
Present.
Joan Greenwood.
Present.
Aaron Moore.
Present.
Summer Temple.
Present.
Rebecca Turrentine.
Present.
And you know what's so
I have
funny?
my camera on. I don't know why it didn't come up.
It didn't. I'm going to call the rest. Let's see. Marlene Dunn.
Present.
Okay. And please forgive me. I couldn't remember if I called any of the other members or not.
No,
so
I think,
go ahead and call.
I think Shonda calling just the members is sufficient.
Okay. For some reason, I could not recall that. Sorry about that. Okay. So yes, we have everyone. And then of course we have the 2 vacancies that we'll discuss.
Great. Okay, so we do have quorum, and I'll just note at the beginning for the record, in response to the proclaimed state of emergency and in an effort to control the spread of COVID-19, this Citizens Oversight Committee meeting will be conducted virtually via Zoom, and all COC members and staff will participate remotely. And the public has had the opportunity to provide comment either real-time via Zoom or written. And we will move now to public comment. Shonda, did any member of the public request to speak in advance?
No.
And are any members of the public requesting public comment live via Zoom?
So.
Oh, I'm sorry, was that no?
I was saying I don't believe so. I was waiting to see if anyone said anything, but no, I don't believe so.
No other, nobody we don't know in the room?
Right, right.
Okay. All right, then public comment is closed. We do not have any old business, but we have quite a few items under new business. And so let's start with some organization information on the committee. We do have 2 vacancies currently and a few members that will be terming out. So Marlene, could you give us a little bit of an overview of what we need to do in preparation for our summer meeting?
Absolutely. The 2 vacancies we have are for the Bonafide Taxpayers Association representative and for a community at large member. Both these vacancies, we've been recruiting for both these vacancies for several months. During COVID, I think we've encountered some challenges in getting some volunteers to serve and to submit applications. However, we have received 1 application for each of these vacancies. We are in the process of final review of those and anticipate being able to have those 2 persons appointed to those vacancies at the next Board of Trustees meeting in February. So we would be able to introduce them shortly afterwards with the press announcement and then introduce them formally to the rest of the committee at the next COC meeting. So that is good news. Somewhat sad news is that we do have 3 committee members who are terming out. And just as a reminder, our bylaws stipulate that committee members may serve a maximum of 3 terms. Your terms are 2 years each, so that's a maximum of 6 years of service. So that is quite a lengthy time and full of dedication from these members. So we will begin, based on our challenge in recruiting for these 2 current vacancies, we intend to begin recruitment for the 3 vacancies in the upcoming weeks. So that should the first recruitment not prove successful, we'll have time to conduct a second recruitment prior to the next meeting of the committee.
Great, thank you, Marlene. And I know we'll have a chance a little bit later in the meeting to thank Eric, Sharon, and Joan for their service as they reach their maximum terms. So let's move to item 4.2, the approval of the August 16th, 2021 minutes. Those minutes are in your packet. May I have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
And please, can I confirm, was the move approval, was that Summer?
That was Becky.
Oh, that was, did you second? I'm sorry, who was?
I made the motion, Shonda.
Okay.
And
Becky.
Sharon did the second.
Okay, there we go. I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 The dog does not get a vote. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. And I think just to help out, because it is hard on Zoom to see all of those, whenever anyone makes a motion or a second, if you could just follow it with your name, I know that'll make things a lot easier for Shonda.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to item 4.3, the performance and financial audits. And we'll invite for that presentation.
Great. I think John's going to introduce Heather Mcgee from Clifton Larson Allen. Or John might not be having great connection, so I will do so. It's my pleasure to introduce Heather Mcgee. She is with our auditing firm. She most recently presented the audits to our board at our last meeting and is here to present to you those audits of the bond funds. So Heather, take it away.
Great, thank you. So should I bring up the PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, I think so. So
Okay.
at this point, Arturo, if you could stop sharing and allow Heather to share.
Good. Oh, now I lost you guys. Hold on just a moment. Sure I can share. I keep losing your smiling faces. Just a moment. There we go. There you are. Okay, one more time. The joys of Zoom. Thank you for bearing with me. I know none of you have had this problem ever.
Only about 15 or 20 times this month.
Right.
The moment I feel very confident and think I have a handle on it is the moment I have a problem.
So tell me, does it look like my PowerPoint document, or do you see kind of it's in presentation mode?
It's in presentation mode, but it's not sized correctly. We can't see the whole slide.
Okay. Not sized correctly. Shoot. Okay, well, let's.
You're like our
That would be great.
Sure, if whatever I'm presenting right now, it's not working.
I can see it. It looks good.
we can see it now, I think.
Okay, let's leave with whatever I'm sharing. And that should work. Okay, but
Yeah,
I apologize.
Arturo, can you put that? Can you see if that will go into presentation mode so it's a little bigger? Perfect.
Okay, yeah, I'm just struggling with the multi-monitors. Thank you.
Arturo, did you stop your screen share?
Okay,
Thank you.
Yay. All right, now we're cooking. Thank you so much for bearing with me through our technical difficulties. As Marlene had mentioned, my name is Heather Mcgee, and I'm the signing director on the project, which includes the Measure E and Measure LB. So I'm here tonight to present to you the audit report for this funds. Next slide, please. Okay, so when you look at an audit report, there's a couple of key components that you want to look at. The report that you have actually is two reports in one. One is a financial piece where the other is the performance piece. So the report is organized with the financial report first. So the opinion on the fund financial statements is an unmodified opinion. So this is referred to as a clean opinion, and the language that you would find in that letter would be presented fairly in material respects. Next slide, please. So the financial statements consist of a balance sheet, statement of revenue and expenses, and changes in fund balance, as well as some certain footnotes. So the footnotes, kind of complete the financial statements, gives a little bit more insight into the funds. It makes clear that this is not, this audit is not a representation of the district as a whole, that the reader would need to refer to the district financial statements. But it's a great resource to have an understanding of how much debt is remaining on those bond programs, which the taxpayers are liable for. Next slide, please. Also important when you're looking at a financial report is if there's any findings. So there's actually a second letter that's in the back that addresses the internal controls over these funds. There are no material weaknesses, as well as on page 10, it indicates that there's no financial statement findings. Next slide, please. So that leads us to the performance piece. So the performance piece really is compliance in nature, where the first report is numbers. So the performance audit also has an opinion letter, but because it's compliance, the language is a little bit different. It refers to as in significant respects that the district has spent the funds according to the specific projects identified by the voters. So again, a clean opinion on the performance piece. Next slide, please. And one good thing about the performance audit is it gives great information. It talks about the bond programs. It talks about the audit objectives of this portion of the reports. And really the objective is to look at the expenditures that are charged to this program and make sure that they're correct, that they really truly should be charged to the bond program. Next slide, please. So when we talk about what we've audited, there is a highlight in that portion of the report. So just as a reminder, Measure E has no expenditures, and of course that is a strategic measure. So currently the expenditures are all being spent out of Measure LB. So we've tested 68 non-salary transactions, which totaled $44.4 million, or 55.7% of the total expenditures. So that's a large sample. I don't know if any of you serve on other boards and if you ever talk to auditors, when we're dealing with a usual financial audit, we're looking at statistical samples, and the percentage isn't nearly to 55%. So the performance audit for Proposition 39 is very unique. Next slide, please. And then in addition to actual expenditures, there's certain salaries and benefits that are charged to the bond funds. Again, Measure E has no expenditures this year, but there was $403,000 spent in the Measure LB. So we look at who's being charged to this program very carefully. When Proposition 39 was passed and approved by the voters back in 2000, it was very clear by the voters that expenditures could not be spent on, or proceeds could not be spent on administrator salaries. So we look and we make sure that there's no expenditures and that the individuals that are being charged actually work directly with the bond program. So no issues were identified with salaries and benefits. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, no No observations for the performance piece, no observations for the financial piece. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those at this time.
Thank you so much, Heather. It's great to see such a clean audit and appreciate your nice overview of that. Do any committee members have questions on the presentation or on the audit? Okay. Then this has already been presented to the Board of Trustees. It is not an action item before us. So Heather, thank you very much for your presentation on that.
Thank you. Have a great meeting.
Thank you. We'll move to item 4.4, the approval of the 2021 annual report, which is in your meeting packet. This is an annual report to the community on the achievements over the last year related to the expenditure of the bond funds and some looking forward related to that, as well as some compliance language to make sure that the voters know how those funds are being expended. This is an action item, so may I have a motion to approve the annual report?
It would be my pleasure. This is Becky Turrentine to make the motion to approve. Congratulations, Marlene. You guys did a great job putting it together.
Thank you, Becky. Is there a second?
Joan Greenwood, second.
Thank you, Joan. Any further discussion on this item? All those in
This is
favor?
Sharon.
I'm sorry?
I was just going to make one comment. This is Sharon Diggs Jackson. In addition to the amazing projects in the report, it's also glad to see that all of the college's officer positions as well as leadership is now in place and will be able to help continue to move all of these projects forward. So that was also exciting.
Absolutely. Thank you for noting that, Sharon. We are very happy to have our permanent superintendent president. And Marlene, thank you for staying. I know there's been a lot of movement in the vice presidential ranks, and so we're really fortunate to have your steady and continued leadership. I think that's really reflected in having a completely clean audit on these funds, so we appreciate that. I agree.
So much, Eric. And I'd also like to recognize Shonda as really a driving force behind the construction of this annual report, that she has been instrumental in producing it. And so I certainly want to give her as many accolades as I possibly can for all of her hard work.
Thank you to John and BMT and everybody else who gave me the information. They were awesome.
Well, here, team effort.
For sure.
Much appreciated.
Definitely.
On behalf of the COC. The motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the annual report is approved. And we'll move now to the quarterly expenditure reports for the periods ending September 30th and December 31st.
Erin, I'll go ahead and present those two reports.
Thank you.
Thank you. Both reports reflect the two prior quarters to those reports. And so I'd like to focus just on the most recent report ending December 31st, because it will show the activity from the prior quarter as well. And Arturo, if you have that document, if you could share it, and again, it will be the document titled 1/31/22, ending December 31, 2021, quarterly expenditure report. Yes, it will be the one right below that one. Exactly. Thank you so much. If you could just scroll down so we can see the bottom half of that first page. Thank you. So you'll see that this report reflects activity through September 30th and then activity through December 31st. So for those most recent two quarters. As you heard our auditor refer to earlier, Measure E is currently not active. We are what I call letting it rest. That we made a promise to the voters when they approved Measure E to have a maximum tax rate on their property bills. And so as we balance bond issuances from Measure E and Measure LB, that gives us the flexibility to have Measure E rest, not issue from Measure E so that we don't exceed that tax rate limit, and then issue from Measure LB. At some point in the future, we will go back to Measure E. We do have a multi-year projected issuance schedule, but this means that Measure E doesn't have expenditures because we don't have any cash to spend at the moment. We are not issuing bonds from it. But when we look at the next page, if you could scroll to the next page, Arturo, you'll see a lot of activity from Measure LB. So when we look at the expenditures to date as of December 31st, you can see that we have $213 million in expenditures. For the quarter ending December 31st, we had 14.7 million. For the quarter ending the prior quarter, 2.3. So you can see that the expenditures over the course of the bond is 213.7. But these two quarters combined is about 17 million plus previous quarters. So I wanted to show that there's first the expenditures to date in totality, and then we have the quarters ending. That amount is reflective of the incredible activity we've had over the course of COVID, which has allowed us to tackle a lot more construction projects. Also, we see greatest expenditures as we approach completion of projects. As you can imagine, as the project nears completion, we've got a lot of cash going out on that project. So for the Kinesiology Lab and Aquatic Center, as well as Building M, we'll see a lot more cash going out as those projects complete. And then when you scroll to the next portion of this report, what you start to see is year-to-date expenditures. So that as you look at each project, you can see by each project what the budget was, any adjustments to that budget, all year's expenses, and then what our available budget is. So that allows you to see where we are with those projects, whether we've even started the project, whether a project's been completed, how much we spent, as well as current expenditures. And that is your quarterly expenditure report.
Thank you, Marlene. So we do have an action item and a chance to have some discussion on that after we have a motion. But unless there's objection, when the motion is made, I'd like it to include both the September 30th quarterly report and the December 31st quarterly report. So is there a motion to approve both?
So moved, Joan Greenwood.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Becky Turrentine.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions on these two items from committee members? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, both are passed. Well, now that we've done the heavy lifting, we get to move on to the construction update, which I think for many of us is our favorite part because we get to see the fruits of the labor of the taxpayers and such. So I'll turn that over for the construction update to Walter.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I have John Dewan with BMT here with us as well. He's the director of BMT. And we're going to do an alternate presentation, starting with John, and I'll kick in as well. So who will be sharing? Here we go.
I can share it.
You got it?
You guys seeing the presentation?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I'm John Wong, program director with bond management team, as Walter noted. I have had mic issues today, so just let me know if I'm cutting in and out. Just stop me at any time. I may have to turn my video off. That seems to help a little bit, so just let me know, okay? And with that, we'll start the construction updates. 2 years running now. Unfortunately, we're still in the COVID-19 pandemic. But it's always nice to announce that we have never stopped construction or design on these projects. And so we're still going strong. All of our contractors work with us and abide by OSHA guidelines, which now includes COVID-19 protocol as well.
Okay. We have a new facilities projects team, which will be responsible for completing the project outlined in this section. The project listed on this page are scheduled for construction this summer. Next page, please. Next slide, please. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Facilities Advisory Committee approved these projects on May 15, 2019. Work for the building SC and restroom renovations, the Q&R locker rooms, and the building R gymnasium work is planned for this coming summer.
Okay. The LAC building L has been repainted, and we're looking forward to recoating the roof of this project this summer. Next slide, please.
Just some new updates here. These campus improvement projects were approved on February 17, 2021. First is the LAC fire alarm project. This one did get DSA approval in the fall, and we're currently out to bid. And hopefully we'll start this project soon in construction. The LAC Building D, third floor fume hood mechanical and plumbing repairs project. Probably the last time we presented this, we were in the middle of construction. We had a window to construct within the summer to be open for fall classes, 2021. And happy to announce that we actually made that date. So that was up and running before the fall classes. The LAC Building Q pool liner project. This project was actually canceled.
I can make one comment on that really quickly. I'm sorry. If you recall, we had an existing pool prior to the construction of the new aquatic center. Originally, we thought we would be able to keep both pools going, that both pools could be operational. However, the pool liner at the original pool, as you know, sustained damage. And as we started investigating what it would cost to replace that, we reached $1 million mark. At which point we started talking about what does this look like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And we worked really closely with Randy Tutorp, Director of Athletics. I believe he's interim dean of athletics right now, to talk about what the future of that building looks like. And if you recall, that building is slated for renovation in a few years. And where we landed was there was no need to have a second pool, no need to dedicate that level of funding to a pool that's really not going to be utilized. That the new pool, which you'll see pictures of in a moment, and hopefully one day you'll be able to tour, is phenomenal. And it was determined that it would be sufficient to serve both the district's needs, competition needs, as well as community recreation needs. So therefore, it was decided to cancel the repair of the pool, that we're looking at what does it look like to make that area safe until we get to renovations, which is likely going to be used for storage. And then once we renovate the entire building under that budget, we'll address what we're doing with that space. So I thought that required just a little bit more explanation. Thank you.
Okay. This slide is our LAC campus improvement that continues with the LAC Building D, second floor labs, mechanical system upgrade. This project is an example of continued improvement to the district heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, HVAC. Next slide, please.
This project is in the closeout phase. Actually, mentioned this at the campus improvements. Here are the pictures of the Building D third floor fume hood mechanical and plumbing repairs project. As you can see, this had to do with those lab fume hoods there. We just had to update the controls. and then also do some cosmetic work on all these fume hoods as well. So.
And in case you don't know what a fume hood is, because when we started this project, I myself did not know what a fume hood was. It allows for those fumes, those toxic fumes, to be handled in a science lab. So when they're not operational, you actually can't conduct that lab or those important experiments in that space. So this was really critical in order to continue to offer the science program.
Okay, the LAC Kinesiology Labs and Aquatic Center, the CLAC for short. This is a beautiful facility and was awarded substantial completion prior to the winter break. The furniture and equipment, our FF&E package installation is ongoing, with scheduled completion for the second week of February. Next slide, please.
Okay. Construction is in progress. The LAC Building M multidisciplinary classroom building. This building, if you've driven by the school, we're really, very close to being completed. I'm hoping in a month or two, we'll be awarding substantial. And it's looking really, really good. This was a 85,000, or 81,000 square foot building here that's going to serve the language arts, foreign language, and computer office studies. State of the art spaces. It's going to be. It's a really nice one that we see open soon.
Okay, our district-wide building management system, BMS, controls replacement and repairs is essential to our energy efficiency and consumption efforts to support our sustainability measures. Next slide, please.
Okay, the PCC campus, this is a building Construction Trades 1, currently in construction right now. As you can see in the pictures there, that's the renovation part right there, getting all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, rough ends. And then the exterior canopies are coming up. So this project is coming along. We're still hoping to have this project open for classes this fall of 2022.
Okay, next project is the LAC, ADA Accessibility Site Barrier Removal. This project will provide more accessibilities to all of our students, faculty, and staff. Next project, next slide, please.
This is actually a swing space, the portable building H and building FF improvements. This is actually a new slide. If you hear from the last presentation, this project moved really quick. It was basically started in the fall and basically ended in the winter time. So this is the swing space for the building G and H project, which is hopefully going to come soon. We had to do this so that we move people out of building G and H, and then hopefully we start demolition either in the spring or summertime for building G and H.
And it looks like you had the most fun of being able to move an entire room full of pianos.
I'm sure.
It was a challenge. It is a challenge. It's unique equipment in the theater arts program. So yeah.
Okay, this slide, this is the actual building G and H. And as you can see, it's pretty exciting. LAC building G and H Music Theater Complex will replace building G and H with state-of-the-art labs, classrooms, and a performance arts complex. Next slide, please.
Campus, building Construction Trades 2. This project is currently at DSA for review. We hope to obtain approval maybe in a couple months, and then we'll start the bidding phases at that point in time. But the project is going very well.
Okay, the district-wide IEMP solar panel project. This project consists of carport canopies at PCC, and it will increase our energy production and sustainability efforts, resulting in a savings of approximately $300,000 annually. Next slide, please.
Okay. Projects in design. This is at the LSE Building E College Center. We're still a bit in the feasibility phase. trying to figure out the and costs related to this project. This is going to be a really good project for obviously the students, you know, a new student center building, you know, with all the bells and whistles. So it's going to be a very exciting one to come soon. Also comes with a food service element. So we're very excited about this project to get started with design.
All right, our next project is LAC Building S, Veterans Memorial Stadium. This is a project that's garnered a lot of interest. And so we've done several studies, and renovations may not be the appropriate way to go. So the district is exploring several different options for this project. Next slide, please.
And this is the site plan of the liberal arts campus. Just a legend, right? In orange, construction that were completed. In red is areas under construction that we just kind of discussed. And then in blue are projects currently in design.
Okay, our Pacific Coast campus site plan. Just as the liberal arts campus continued to change, so does the Pacific Coast campus as reflected on the PCC site plan map. Next slide, please.
This slide is to show the upcoming projects. The one that's coming soon, district-wide access control projects. This is where we are looking to replace our old Omni-lock system with a more robust system and access controls that potentially has a lockdown feature. Be, you know, card readers potentially accessible from, you know, iPhones or and mobile devices. And then second project down, student housing. This project is actually pending state grants that we applied for in October. And grant funding is supposed to come out March 2022. So we're crossing our fingers for that. Third project listed here is North Long Beach facility. This is a potential project with the city of Long Beach. Marlene and her team really diligently working with the city to potentially secure some land that we could do a joint use project over there. It may include, you know, actually, it's my mistake. I don't think the housing component is part of this anymore, but I believe it's going to be classrooms and offices.
Okay, upcoming projects continue. The district received $9,716,585 for the fiscal year 2021, with half 2021-2022, with half of that amount being utilized for instructional equipment. The remaining half will be used for deferred maintenance on the project listed on this slide below. And I'm sorry, John. So as you can see, you see a lot of HVAC improvements, and that continues, especially in the climate we in with the COVID climate. So we're continually upgrading our HVAC system to make sure that we're in compliance with all the regulations from the health department, CDC, and all the government agencies. Next slide, please.
Okay, so this is the safe parking pilot program. So if you guys recall this project, PCC parking structure, we call it P2 parking structure at PCC campus. This was done in November of, I believe, 2020. But I'm bringing this project up because Stacy from the communications department and her group did a great video that I'm gonna show right now. See this?
You have audio, John?
Yeah, there's audio, so you might have to turn your speakers if you haven't already. Oh, sorry. But you guys can.
We can't hear anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, sorry everyone. I hope maybe you didn't get to hear the sound. I have no idea. Every time I touch it, I keep pausing the video. Maybe we can send you a link so if you haven't seen it. It's a great video. It's not really bond construction, even though we built it. It's really the district leadership, Marlene, Dr. Munoz, board members. I mean, they did such a fantastic job with this. It's something that kind of touches your heart, you know, so I wanted to show it. And it makes me proud because we helped build it and it became something, you know, this is a parking structure, but it's so much more than a parking structure today. So that's, you know, that part's kind of amazing to me.
Can you just give us a quick little?
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, John, and highlighting that that program. I know the college actually took some negative press for that program. I think mostly it's a little bit misunderstood. The college has been really clear that this is it does not see this as the be all and end all to support those students, but as an entry point to helping connect them to more permanent and safe housing. And the fact is, if someone is sleeping in their car, doing that in a secured location on campus is preferable to being on the street. Parking. And so I know I had the opportunity to have a lengthy separate conversation with the basic needs manager on campus who talked a lot about that program, how it came about, and some of the balancing of the college's needs around risk management and the needs of the students when their own basic needs are not being met. So I agree with you. You should feel proud about this facility that has become, I think, more than the sum of its parts, and you know, is working to serve students. And that would be great if, just as a follow-up, I know the committee members would love to see that link and be able to share that too, because I know every time I drive past the parking structure, it's a point of pride. I think it's always been more than a parking structure. We knew that that was a real anchor for PCC and the neighborhood.
I had just a really quick question. I haven't.
Oh, go ahead, Sharon.
Oh no, I was just going to say I haven't heard any numbers though. So is it being utilized? How many students can it house?
I can answer that for you. It is a pilot program. We are one of the very first community colleges in the state to operate this program. So we needed to do so in a safe manner to ensure that we didn't make any mistakes, because when we're dealing with student safety, a mistake is not permissible. So for this pilot program, it is focused at only full-time students, up to 15 students. We are not allowing more than a single student in a car at a time. In that way, we can avoid any issues with potential disagreements with the people in the car. We can't yet house minors. So this is really a limited pilot looking at those students who have a car who can participate up to 15. At the end of this year, we're going to be assessing the program and identifying what really worked well, what didn't work well, and look for opportunities to expand it, as well as looking for grant opportunities and other funding sources to help pay for it. But thus far, it's been very successful. I think, as Erin so eloquently discussed, this is one in a series of safety nets that we're creating for our students. And when Justin, who is leading our Basic Needs Center, receives an application from a student to participate in this program, they immediately start to be case managed. He's able to connect them with a great many different services, not just housing services, but assessing all of their needs. So this is a great way to start identifying those students, provide them an immediate solution that puts them in a safer environment while we work very hard to find a much more safe and long-lasting and sustainable solution. And I can't say enough about Justin and his team. They are truly phenomenal. And I was just happy to play a small part in this program along with Walter and John and Lubert, who's in charge of our parking, to really bring this together and help support Justin's efforts.
Thank you, Marlene. Becky, did you have a comment?
My question was actually answered, Aaron. Thank you. I'm so impressed. Such an innovative program, but I did get my question answered. Thank you.
Excellent. John and Walter, I'll turn it back to you.
Like Marlene stated, and John, it is something that we're very proud of, and it's a labor of love. And we're glad to be able to provide an opportunity for our students to have a safe place for parking. This next slide gets us to the Q&A session. Any questions or any other slides that we presented, John and I will be happy to answer those at this time.
This is an information item, so no action necessary. Are there any comments or questions on the construction update?
This is Sharon again, and I think this has been a recurring question of mine. Knowing how amazing the athletic facilities are, who will come up with the community access plan? And when will that become available?
I'll take that again. Athletics is in charge of the community access when we talk about organized programs. So when we're talking about our summer swim programs or different levels of access to the other courts, we're working closely with Randy Tutorp on establishing those programs and building off of what we had prior to the building of the CLAC. So we already had those summer swim programs. We had day camps for kids in the summer. So we're really going to build off of that. In addition, we recognize that these are world-class athletic facilities. And we've had a lot of interest in from a lot of different areas in utilizing these areas. So number one, these are district facilities. We prioritize use for district students. Beyond that, we're looking at opportunities to host competitions. It not only attracts attention and spreads the word that LBCC has these state-of-the-art facilities, but it provides our student athletes with greater opportunities in competition. Beyond that, we then balance having programs for the community. If they charge a fee, it's simply to pay for the cost of running the program, as well as opening up our campuses to outside groups who want to rent the facilities to hold their own events. And so where we're at with that is, again, looking at the schedule, creating those programs for community recreation before we start to dedicate to other groups' use.
Okay,
does that help?
Just one other, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Oh no, I was gonna ask just one other question. They mentioned about the North Long Beach. I had heard something about trying to have a satellite campus up there. Are we still talking about that area near the Michelle Obama Library, or was it some other project that they're looking at in North Long Beach?
We're exploring two different property types. There is one property commonly known as the Red Door property because it has a red front door. That property is basically a shell of a building, but fairly large. And we would just simply be one of several partners in the establishment of the Center for Higher Education. So it'd be the North Long Beach Center for Higher Education. The property would, the city holds the lease to the building. We would contribute furnishings and equipment for a computer lab. It is not DSA approved, so it can't be used primarily for public education, but we are able, like we do right now, conduct some of our classes in the building. So we're looking at programming going from some 4-credit classes to economic development workshops, financial literacy classes, ESL classes, one-on-one advising through the Small Business Development Center, a whole host of things, as well as having some enrollment workshops there. So it's an opportunity for us to have a presence. Again, we're not the sole inhabitor. We are one of a few different partners, but it's a great opportunity. We're also in the very, 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 very preliminary stages of looking at another parcel in that area where we could construct the project that John shared with you. So again, very, very preliminary. We're getting ready to submit a letter of interest to the city, and then we'll start looking at whether it's feasible to move forward, which we certainly hope we are. We would love to be able to establish a center in that area so that we can more directly serve that community, maybe stop a little bit of the flow to some neighboring community colleges, but really reduce a lot of the obstacles that students who live in that community have, primarily transportation to either of the existing campuses.
Other questions or comments on the construction update?
I had a question on the solar panels. I was curious to know what plan is in place for funding for continued maintenance and cleaning of the solar panels.
Once the solar panels are put in place, we have a service agreement with the installer. So as of now, like LAC at the parking structure here, they come out, service the panels. So we have a service agreement in place. We would be the same thing for this project as well.
And the funding is already set up through the bond, or the continued funding for that? Because I assume every year you pay them for the maintenance every year, correct?
Yes.
So that's set up through the bond already? That payment every year?
I can take that one, Walter. The bond can be used to pay for service agreement only if it's embedded within the initial purchase. But ongoing service agreements are not an allowable use of bond funds. So then that reverts back to general unrestricted funding. And so that total cost of ownership is a really critical point of information when we are considering the erection of these solar panels. We do know that the older the solar panels are and the less you maintain them, the less performance you get out of them. And so you end up not creating enough energy to justify the cost. And so that was one of the critical points of our analysis when we started. Since we are doing this ourselves, we're not going through one of these lease agreements, which long-term can also be problematic. We really looked at that total cost of ownership and ensuring that these solar panels remain productive throughout the life of the program, which is estimated to be a 25-year program. So that was really an important consideration for us.
Okay, great. I'm glad to hear that. I know we put solar panels up at my work. It was the same thing, looking at the continued maintenance and cleaning cost over the years. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're right. If you don't keep them clean and if you don't maintain them within 10 years, they're maybe working at 50% and 5 years after that, even lower. So to maintain their performance, you really have to have that maintenance and cleaning plan.
It's a great point though, Summer. I know that certainly, I'm sure Marlene, as you and others on the finance team are looking every time a new building opens, if you have expanded square footage, you have heating, cooling, electrical, other expenses that are need to be maintained. So it's great that the bond is there to put these buildings up, but it doesn't negate the need for the state to continue to invest in those facilities long term.
That deferred maintenance funding that we've received that Walter shared, we had not received in the prior years. And so having that availability of the deferred maintenance is really, really critical. Definitely.
Any further questions? I'll just say congratulations to the team on being so close to the finish line on CLAC and Building M. Really, obviously, those are real signature projects and lots coming up. It'll be exciting to see how that stadium, obviously, I'm sure one of the most community engaged projects and very visible. So thank you for all of your continued work on that and the presentation tonight. That brings us right at the end. Marlene, I don't believe there were additional updates from you under 5.1.
Or not, although I will beg the committee's forgiveness. I do have a 7 o'clock Board of Trustees ad hoc committee meeting that starts in about 1 minute. And so if you forgive me, I'm going to leave you in Aaron and Shonda's capable hands. As always, it's a pleasure to see you. I'm sorry to be not here for the recognition on the next item, but my deep, deep thanks to Eric, Sharon, and Jen for all your years of service. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you, Marlene. And as we close out, I do want to mention, I know Shonda and Marlene shared with us the sad passing of our member, Eric David. And so certainly wanted to acknowledge his long affiliation with the college and his service to the COC. And we have sent our condolences to his family. And last on the agenda, very much wanted to take the opportunity. We do have 3 members who will be terming out at the end of this fiscal year, which will be before our next meeting in August. So I'd like to express my personal thanks and the thanks on behalf of the committee to Eric, Sharon, and Joan for their service on the COC, for always having community-oriented questions to ask, and making sure that the taxpayers of Long Beach trust in this process so that we can offer our students these world-class facilities. And what you'll see on your screen, each of the 3 outgoing members, you'll be receiving this shortly in the mail as just a token of the committee and the college and district's thanks for your service on behalf of the bond. So thank you very much, Eric, Sharon, and Joan, for your service.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been amazing to learn and to follow the projects and just to see how much has been accomplished in such a short amount of time. I mean, when you think of all in the 6 years that I've been on it, we literally have almost built a brand new campus. And as a taxpayer, it makes it a little easier for me when I make my, pay my tax bill, property tax bill every year, to have a correlation between, oh, okay, I know where some of that money is going. So it's been a great experience.
Thank you, Sharon.
So I have a gift. I think I found my replacement, so I know how difficult it is to get somebody to fill these spots. So one of my friends, who's the CEO of a right-of-way company here in Long Beach, has a little twisted arm volunteered his services. So Shonda, do I send you his bio?
Okay. I can send the application, and then I can, just so I have everything official, and absolutely.
Great, we'll connect you together.
Get application in there for sure.
Thank you for helping those recruitment efforts, Eric. It's really important that we have a fully staffed committee, so you appreciate that. And Joan, I know you're just on the audio, but thank you very much as well.
I want to thank all of you. It has been a tremendously informative process, very efficient with the staff. And so now when I have people who challenge me because I've supported publicly with signage the bond measures in this city, I pepper them with what I've learned, and they're quiet after that.
Good job.
Yeah.
Excellent. Nobody can say that they can't see the difference that their bond money has made at LBCC. With that, just a reminder that our next meeting date is August 15th. And I'm sure we will have some other communications coming out in the meantime. But I thank everybody. We've clocked in at exactly 1 hour, I believe, tonight. And the meeting stands adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.